hard. It's always the homeless problem is the homeless are the problem, and that's an issue.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're here in front of the Humboldt County Courthouse. We're at a protest advocating for the rights of the unhoused to camp in public when needed. It's called the Right to Rest protest, and we're here going to talk with an individual who was previously homeless and had some experience dealing with law enforcement and the court system in regard to camping.
My name is Dakota Phillips. I'm from Virginia, but I've been in Humboldt County for 4 years.
Okay.
And I came out here to CR, and they housed me for a good portion of 2 years, and I became homeless May 13th of 2020. I want to say it was 2022.
Okay.
It was a real struggle at first, it was immediate. I mean, I went down to LA with a Skid Row, and that was a nightmare. And when I came back, the night I got back with my tent, I set it up at the transit center, and Sergeant Scout immediately, first thing, you can't set up, and I was, had an hour and a half conversation about how I couldn't set a tent up. And I slept in the rain for about 2 weeks before I found out that, between sunset and sunrise, I could set a tent up, but I had to put it down.
And where was that? Where you were talking with the
community, the Arcata Transit Center in Arcata.
Yeah.
And it was that's how that conversation left. And once I got situated, I was moved around from place to place. I finally set up in November and was left alone for about 6 months, and then on St. Patrick's Day of 2023, I was cited for setting a structure up on public property.
A structure.
Structure.
What's the code section for us?
100.06A6.
Okay.
And they say the part was that they cited me before was similar structures was what's written in in that part of that code. That one was dismissed because he got I believe it was because he got the information wrong on it. But on April 3rd, it was Officer Burke cited me for the same thing, putting a structure up, and I was located at the Arcata Community Center.
Yeah.
I went to court on May 1st and argued my case that I wasn't, setting up the structure that they did, and the law that they were citing me on didn't even apply to what I was doing because they already had an ordinance that applied to what I was doing.
Can you explain that ordinance a little bit for people who don't know?
The ordinance that they have is 100.04, which basically says no overnight camping, and then it defines what camping is in that ordinance,
right,
which is setting up a tent, anything for living accommodations. It's actually a very long verse section, and when I went, that's exactly what I'm doing, but you can't enforce that because of Martin v. Boise and the Johnson v. Grants Pass, which is what we're standing here. They're talking about in the Supreme Courts. That's why we're here protesting.
Okay.
For the inevitable, whatever that may be. But it wasn't. There's no talk back. There's no discord. The cops were completely like, I'm right. It's law. I'm saying that this is what it is, and that's what it is. It took 3 months for a judge to get that order. And once I got it, I found out that I was right. I wasn't guilty of that, and that I would have in fact been guilty of the other one. But that's not what they cited me for because they couldn't.
Right.
Once I got that judgment back, they left me alone. But they didn't leave other homeless people alone. They they did a sweep in, I want to say, July or August of the entire community center. There's a wood patch behind the baseball field. They swept all those people out, arrested one. They towed an individual's car. It was it's always the homeless problem is the homeless are the problem, and that's an issue because we aren't the problem. The failed system that we have is the problem. The broken system, the bureaucratic red tape. It took me 2 years. I'm housed now. It took me 2 years working with the county, working with DHHS, working with the home program. Everyone has to get their hands wet in order for me to get housed, rather than there be a coordinated action. The coordinated entry system doesn't work. That's not what housed me. The Arcata House Partnership, it doesn't work. That's not what housed me. These programs that we have, they haven't worked for 30 years. And you keep funneling money into the same thing. They say if it's not broke, don't fix it. Well, it's broken. It's time to fucking fix it. Excuse my language. I'm sorry. I didn't have drugs holding me back. I didn't have alcohol holding me back. I actually attended AA. I had some court things going on, so it was court mandated. But I attended AA for a year and a half. I'm actually, in retrospect, I'm 3-0 against the courthouses out here. None of their cases have won against me. They've all been dismissed. I've either done the requirements by the court or I've had them dismissed on my own.
Yeah.
And
those are all related to camping or being unhoused?
They were all stemmed from me when I was homeless. One of them was something I had relapsed because I had just became homeless and I started drinking again. And, I got a drunk in public that turned into a resisting arrest. And, it's because I was unhoused. They left all my property. All of it was stolen by the homeless people. I had to put a bounty on I put a bounty on my property. I got 85% of it back. I got 85% of it. I got my tent back, my stove back. I just wanted a place to stay where I could, meet with the services. That way I didn't have to keep moving. They try to find me, can't find me.
Yeah.
And that's the downfall that we have, is that the police officers seem to think that we can just fix our situation. People would say, get a job. Well, who's going to hire us when we can't shower because the cities don't provide showers? Where are we supposed to shower?
Yeah.
Y'all think that they think that everything's available to the homeless, and it's not. There's nothing of substantial service that is available to the homeless that would allow them to become better citizens. And I'm going to attest to that. I didn't have anything holding me back except what the city provided, which was nothing. Showers got taken away. You only got AHA maybe once a month out there in Arcata.
And that was pretty limited, right?
It was beyond limited. There was no services. I stopped asking for services and started looking for citizens' help. I had a friend, Veronica. She would hold my food in her refrigerator. And that way she would bring me food every day. That way I could cook fresh, because I had my own stove and propane. I was able to maintain. I was very fortunate on my end, to be able to have some things.
Yeah, but a support network was...
It's fundamental to get out off the street. If you don't have a support network, you're not going to make it. There's nobody in society has ever made it alone. We have all made it with a support system. Whether it's somebody that watches your children when you go out to do something, whether it's somebody that watches your house, that gives you a ride to work. Everybody helps out everybody, and that's what community is to help. She got me through it. I got her when she was 8 weeks old, and I had just been homeless for about 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
And I got her, and we've been together ever since. It was the best decision I ever made. She's allowed.
Your partner here.
Partner in crime. Yeah. They bank on the fact that nobody's going to stand up to them, because that what they say is law, and that's what America's come to be now. Mm-hmm. Is that what happened to we the people? It's we the people. My rights don't stop, because you don't like the fact that I'm there. I believe it was my rights, your rights end where my rights begin. And that's where it's at. So just because you don't like to see a tent somewhere, then what you need to do is question your city, question your council members. They say, oh, there's one bed available, so you can go, so you can't have a right to be homeless, and that's not what the law said. And the officers out here, they play it on the fact that, oh, it's the Ninth Circuit of, it's not the Supreme Court, so it's still up for question. And it's just disgusting. Left me alone. But I told him, I was like, I know the time's coming where y'all are going to do y'all's little push to tell people to go away.
Yeah.
Just let me know, and I'll move, and I'll be accommodating.
Yeah.
And that's not what happened. It was he came on one day as sergeant. Oh no, everyone's getting a ticket. I was like, just give me this. And no, he's like, you can still move, but you're getting a ticket. There was no compassion, none. There's no care. Even if you try to be compliant with them, they don't care.
Yeah.
They play semantics very well. They know how to talk and pose in front of cameras, and there's no outreach for the homeless. There's a contract between DHHS and Arcata, from my understanding, where they have a program that's, I believe, run by Scown, that's supposed to run outreach to the homeless. That way the home program doesn't have to do the outreach in Arcata.
Okay.
And they don't do that. Nobody came to me. I went to behavioral health. Or no, I went to the mobile clinic, then I went to behavioral health, got my referrals to the home program in order to get housed. And again, that took 2 years. A year and 11 months,
Right. So eventually you were housed through what program?
Through the home program.
Okay.
Which is a program associated with DHHS.
Yes. Okay.
But at no help of any of the programs
you
at
had
Arcata.
to really seek it out?
Yeah, I had to do all the effort. There was no help from the other organizations.
If I may intervene.
Yes.
It was ongoing, constant, and if he hadn't have literally jumped all of the hoops that were necessary, that were a lot, in order to get housed, he would not be. It was very difficult.
Okay.
And the only reason that he is housed today is because he was able to do that. And it involved people's help, like mine. I helped him.
She's the one that kept my groceries at her house.
Oh, groceries. Thank you.
I helped his grocery. I watched the dog for him so he could because there are appointments, you have to be available for phone calls, paperwork. You know, he filled out all the paper. It's a lot.
So
it
you
is
were
a
kind of
lot.
like an unofficial case manager.
Correct. I met him 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I met Sage first, and I live in Arcata, and he was at the community. I guess my point is, it's not easy.
Right.
You know, I mean, I hear he had me to help him,
Yeah.
and it still took 2 years,
Yeah.
and it wasn't easy.
And
Right.
You know, it's people don't realize what you lose when you can't wash your hands. As simple as that, you can't wash your hands. You don't have a bathroom to go to.
Beneficiary, if that's the right word. Like volunteering or whatever, it's like that's a gift to me. I feel good now. Like people have